We're all set, maybe? Today's spiritual reading is from If the Buddha Got Stuck, a handbook for change on a spiritual path by Charlotte Castle, PhD. Taking action in a Buddhist context is not about attaining something out there, having status, possessions, money. It's about living now, being guided by the essence of who you are. It's about clearing out whatever keeps you preoccupied, rigid, self-absorbed, worried, and suffering.
This is a reading from Romans chapter 12, verse 2, and Isaiah chapter 43, verses 18 and 19. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland.
Recently, I was out in San Francisco visiting my cousin Kevin and his wife. Kevin gave me an epic all-day tour of the city, and as we drove around, we did a lot of talking. He mentioned his disappointment with his daughter Sarah and how, according to him, she just didn't seem to be living her best life. Sarah graduated from college with a biology degree in 2023 with hopes to go into research. After prospective jobs in that area dried up in early 2024, she decided to become a doctor and planned to apply to medical school. At the time of my visit in November 2025, Sarah didn't have a job, lived in her parents' basement, and still hadn't applied to medical school. Kevin told me he wished Sarah would just move forward. Such simple words, but words that mean and say so much. Move forward. I remember at the time those words hitting me hard. I understood what he meant by move forward and what it meant to Sarah move forward, but I couldn't help but wonder if I was moving forward. Was I too old to move forward? Hopefully not. Younger than a lot of people, I guess, here. Okay, so what are some ways in which people move forward?
New job.
New job.
New relationship.
New relationship.
Clean the house.
New house.
Clean, or yeah. Yep.
Learning new things. Okay, all great answers. This is all covered in my sermon, so good job. We're on the same wavelength here. In Sarah's case, moving forward would involve applying for and being accepted to medical school, getting and keeping a part-time job, and then attending medical school. And then the forward motion might involve moving out of her parents' basement, getting a place of her own, meeting someone, falling in love, becoming a doctor, getting married, having kids, buying a house. Oh my God, where does it end? But what if we have already achieved some of these things in life? The job, the house, the relationship. What if we are in the later stage of our life and feel like there is nowhere to go? Or if we are at any stage of life with nowhere particular we want to go? In my case, I am retired, finished with my 30-year career, bought and paid for a house I want to live in forever, and in love with a single life. There are no major steps I'm hoping to accomplish. Then how can I move forward? Is it even important to move forward? And what does moving forward even look like? The desire to move forward starts with the realization that staying in the same place, living the same life, doing the same things is not beneficial. But why wouldn't your life benefit you? In some cases, there might be something wrong with where you are. There is something you are not happy with, like a less than desirable marriage or job. In other cases, it could be that you are not getting any satisfaction from what you are doing. Things don't necessarily feel wrong, you just don't feel fulfilled. You feel like you are going nowhere. In either case, you are not moving forward. One way forward is simply to take action, as we mentioned in the spiritual reading today. There are so many ways to move forward or take action in life. Most involve trying new things, doing something differently, having a fresh perspective, resolving issues, and coming to terms with things. Things we could all benefit from. This could mean taking a class, trying a sport, joining a club, learning a language, keeping a journal, meeting new people. Basically, trying something new or seeing something in a new way. By making room for something new to happen in our lives, we can ignite the spark of fresh ideas and aliveness within our bodies. Travel is a great example of moving forward. You are literally moving when you travel. And if it's with an open heart and mind, with a sense of adventure, excitement, and renewal, it will move you forward. It's about getting out of your world and entering another, and learning more about what's around you, and at the same time, learning more about yourself. As they say, travel teaches, and when we're learning, we're growing, and when we're growing, we're moving forward. But we can learn and grow without traveling, right? Just in case travel isn't your thing. Marcel Proust famously said, "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes." We don't always have to travel to have a new perspective. We can stay home and choose to see things differently. But it isn't always that simple, because as I mentioned, this may mean resolving issues and coming to terms with things. But if we can make that choice, we move forward, hopefully toward greater insight, wisdom, experience, and understanding. In 1971, Ram Dass, with his book, coined the phrase, "Be here now." It's short and sweet and to the point. Be here now is a state of mind, a philosophy of life. It's obviously not where you are located. And even though it sounds counterintuitive or like a passive endeavor, to be here now is to move forward. It's about being present in the moment, eyes, ears, mind, body, and breath. To be with whatever is going on, to let go, to get unstuck. To be here now is to keep the flow in our bodies, minds, and spirits. When we are unable to keep that flow or to be mindful, it is often because we find something is missing in our lives. If we are highly attuned to our inner world and we find congestion, either in our lifestyle or our relationships, we should notice it and move forward toward action so we don't get stuck around it. So what are some ways in which people get stuck?
Routines,
What?
just any routine.
Yeah, just the same old
Same
thing,
old
you never
habits.
venture out. Yeah, that's a way to get stuck, definitely. Anything else?
Mindset, like a mind, you kind of sticking out like a negative mindset. maybe.
Right, being negative, it's hard to see outside your little box and see something different. Yep.
Not being open to change.
Yep, not being open to change. Yep, that's a big one.
Afraid of failing.
Exactly, afraid of failing. Yep.
Dwelling on the past.
Dwelling on the past.
Ruminating about mistakes you've made or
Yep.
opportunities missed, or wishing you could go back to a certain time.
Yeah, wishing you could go back and missed opportunities, living in the past. You guys are awesome today because, again, we are on the same level here.
They may not have the resources either to do what they want to do financially, or there's restrictions that they may be needing to take care of an elderly parent and so forth, so they're still kind of bound to where they're at.
Right,
So they have to look for different ways that they can kind of work around that.
right. If you're stuck, if your finances cause you to get stuck, then you have to be creative in finding, like some kind of workaround, definitely. All right, great responses. So there's so much inside us which can get in the way, so much noise. You can have the fancy job, the house, the husband, and the kids and still be stuck, right? You can have those things or other life accomplishments and still not move forward. I'm not striving for anything in this area of my life, but I once felt the pressure to do so. I also wasn't able to be here now. I wasn't living in the present moment. I went to my first therapy session when I was 36 years old. I definitely felt stuck at the time, and even though I didn't like talking about my feelings, and I knew I would have a hard time opening up to someone, I also knew something had to be done. I was depressed and feeling negative and hopeless. I needed to get on with my life. I needed to move forward. And just because my goal wasn't to go to medical school or have a high-end career like Sarah doesn't mean I didn't know what it felt like to be stuck. And I still know what it means, because even though I got unstuck, life always seems to present us with opportunities to prove that we can move forward over and over again. In 2020, I tried something new by taking a break from being a postal carrier, which at that time I had been doing for 26 years, to become a temporary supervisor at the post office, which ended up being very temporary. My heart was never in it and I did not enjoy it. I did fairly well, but when I didn't complete a task the way that was expected, I had a hard time seeing past the disappointment. I felt stuck. The postmaster, in hopes of making me feel better and more productive, often started his advice to me with, moving forward, as in, Sandy, you need to get beyond this so you can find success. He wanted me to think about the hope of the future instead of getting lost in the despair of the past. He wanted me to stop my unstuck thinking, which can be easier said than done. In the book, If the Buddha Got Stuck by Charlotte Castle, the same book from our spiritual reading today, she says this, quote, unstuck thinking includes being playful, creative, willing to experiment, make changes, and bring freshness to every day. It's about looking outside the box for answers, being alive to one's senses, and noticing what brings joy, variety, and beauty to our lives. Sometimes we might say it takes too much energy to move forward. Actually, it often takes less energy to move forward than it does to resist change. And we can't move forward without change, but change can be a scary thing. If you're afraid of change, ask yourself why. What am I resisting? What am I afraid of? Don't let anything get in the way, because there is so much to gain by putting forth the effort to change. And don't worry about not having the energy to do so, because often when we give energy, we receive more energy in return. In another quote from If the Buddha Got Stuck, Charlotte Castle says, one way to energize yourself to start something new is to focus on all you have to gain by making changes in your life. It's about casting vision into the big picture of your life, instead of hanging on to small comforts of lying on the couch, watching TV, drinking, or not exerting yourself to look for a better job or more education. One way to embrace change is to imagine yourself taking the actions necessary for change and how it might make you feel. If you embrace change, you could be happier, have more energy, feel more confident, and have closer relationships. Maybe you wouldn't worry so much. If you embrace change, you might be more relaxed and healthier. You could learn something new. Life could be more exciting if you could change and move forward. Sometimes embracing change isn't about doing something different, about changing anything. It's about letting an experience change us, which is still taking action. If we could just hang out with our experience and allow ourselves to be astonished and then change, we will start getting unstuck in every part of our being. The willingness to be unsure, uncomfortable, and unknowing opens the road to freedom so we can move forward. It all comes down to faith. In life, we constantly choose one path over another without knowing the results. Should I take this job or that job? Should I date this person or that person? Should I live here or there? Should I share my feelings or keep them to myself? Sometimes we must move forward even when we don't know where we're going. We have to be okay with not knowing what we are really choosing. To be okay with making our way in the wilderness, as was referenced in today's scripture reading. We must have faith, or another way to say it, we have to let go of the outcome. If we are attached to the outcome, we are stuck. Letting go of the outcome means being easy with yourself no matter what happens. Have your feelings, but don't be too hard on yourself if things don't work out as planned. All we can do is step from one moment to the next and make our best decision with what we know. And we can't forget to breathe. Sarah's unwillingness to move forward by not applying to medical school could be because she lacks confidence and therefore is afraid to even try. A lot of people won't try something new if they aren't 100% sure they will succeed. If that's the case, she needs to let go of the outcome. Our internal critic often tells us that we never do anything good enough, and because of this, we feel stuck. Sarah could be a perfectionist. Often perfectionists cannot move forward because they fear they won't achieve perfection. We get stressed when we focus on getting everything done just right, as opposed to completing a task sufficiently and staying relaxed. And if that's the case with Sarah, she needs to tell herself that whatever happens means nothing about her self-worth. And again, she needs to let go of the outcome. We shouldn't fear the process of taking action, and we also should accept the results of moving forward. We need to tell ourselves that whatever happens to us is not headline news. It's just a little moment in the great expanse of time, and we can always ask for help if we get stuck. Some time ago, in my attempts to take action and move forward in my life by trying new things, I took a photography class at an art museum, and at the same time, I took on the role of chair of my church's annual pledge drive. One of my duties as chair of the pledge drive was to give a speech at the church's annual dinner. At that time, I didn't have much experience with public speaking, but I didn't feel completely over my head as I had begun performing my poetry, which was another new thing I had undertaken. So I was used to being in front of an audience, but I was still nervous and not completely confident about giving this speech for the pledge drive. Hours before the speech, I went around taking pictures to fulfill that week's photography assignment. After taking some great shots and feeling happy with my work, I realized something was wrong. I hadn't put the film in the camera properly. I know. I'm with you. Or thanks for being with me. I didn't actually take any of the shots I thought I had so artistically captured. To say the least, I was devastated and deflated over what I had done and about having to start over. My first thought was, how was I going to have the confidence to give the speech at church that night if I couldn't do something as simple as load film into a camera? I couldn't accept the fact that I had failed at something that should have been so easy. But I also had to complete my photography assignment, and since it was Sunday and I had the day off, I had to get the pictures taken that day. But I felt helpless and I didn't know how to move forward. So even though it was Sunday, I called my therapist on her cell phone because I felt it was an emergency. During our conversation, she made me realize that I shouldn't hinge my failure at taking pictures with whether or not I would succeed at my speech. The two actions had nothing to do with each other. And my problem with the film wasn't a failure. It was a mistake. We all make mistakes. It's how we grow. It allows us to move forward if we are able. And with my therapist's help, I was able to move forward. I went back outside and took more pictures, which all turned out great. And my photography teacher loved them. In fact, one turned out so well that I matted and framed it, and it is hanging on my dining room wall today. And my speech at church was a huge success. I felt confident and capable, and I delivered. I allowed myself to get unstuck with help. I took action in the present moment, which led to future success. In my last quote from If the Buddha Got Stuck by Charlotte Castle states, quote, "Taking action in the present helps us step beyond our past as we move beyond old conditioning of fear and helplessness and affirm our right to live, enjoy, and have the life we want." Even if there is a history of trauma, taking action can have a dramatic effect, contributing to a sense of mastery and power over your life, end quote. That's the key, to take mastery and power over your life. Whatever the situation is, whatever needs changing, wherever action is needed, don't be afraid. Have faith and move forward. Amen.